In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories. Welcome to Raw and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet with a 30-day non-compete clause. That's not true. It's not true at all. It's 90 days. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarts, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime fighting, District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm going to tell you right now, if Wrestle Talk gets a hold of me, that there is no 30 or 90 day.
I'm going to hold you to it, brother.
My ass is out, especially if they pay me, whatever would be the number, magic number.
What? That would be such an improvement over the zero you get from here.
No, because I can eat chips here.
See, fringe benefits.
But if I was on their podcast, I'd get to hear British accents for the entire podcast.
Oi, governor. I can talk British. No, I can't.
That worked out great.
Yeah. JLB is, I guess, going to join us later because he got busy doing some other podcast.
Probably Big Brother bullshit or something.
Yeah, probably. I don't fucking understand Big Brother. I don't get it. What are the rules? Nope. It's just fuckers in a house. That's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Handful of crisps. See, I have to call them crisp if I go on the other one.
Yes. You should get on TikTok. There's a couple people on TikTok who their whole thing is British person eats American food. Like this one, Dawn Farmer's her name, and so she tried ranch for the first time a couple months ago, and it absolutely blew her fucking mind. I don't have ranch over there. She's like, ranch? What? Why don't we have this here? She tried Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits today.
Like, no wonder they're all overweight.
This stuff is stunning. She yeah, no wonder we're so big. But she started ordering ranch off Amazon because she can't find it in the stores, and so she has her own supply of ranch airlifted in. Apparently,
What do you put on salad there?
Apparently, they put like vinaigrettes and stupid healthy shit like that. She's fun
That's
to watch.
gross.
Yeah, it's gross, man. Healthy food? Nah, not for me. Like I said, JLB hopefully will be joining us later to talk this week in wrestling because there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened this week.
There was a ton of interesting stuff.
So,
it's unfortunate that we had personal life interesting stuff here in Nebraska that has kept both of us out of thinking about the podcast beforehand.
Yeah, so that's where this podcast is going to be a little interesting because I really didn't do much planning at all. Mostly because I've been without power at my house for the last, until it got turned on, it was like 39 hours straight. And D.A. Fabe went for, 14 hours, you said?
14 hours. 14 hours without power.
Because the entire state of Nebraska got absolutely rocked by a windstorm that was not tornadoes, but tornado speed winds.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating. Not that there's a lot to damage here. I mean, there is some people. We have about 2 million people.
Yeah, 2 million. About right. About a quarter of them are in Omaha, where I live, and then the other 2/3 or the other 3/4 are spread out to the state. But
out where I'm at, in the middle of nowhere.
But yeah, it damaged a fair amount of crops, which is going to be devastating for a lot of those farmers. But like in the town here in Omaha, I woke up Saturday morning to find out that 200,000 people in Omaha had no power.
Yeah.
And
now, was that the entire metro area, or was that just Omaha?
It was the entire metro area. But they said, here's the deal: is they're reporting
a quarter of the people in Omaha Metro were without power.
Yeah, although I would say it was probably way more than that, because they said an estimated 200,000 people, but then in another one they said an estimated 200,000 households, which is a different thing altogether.
Yeah. Well, at an average household of 3.8, I think, in Omaha.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that could have been the entirety of Omaha, effectively. You know, in the metro area, there's, 700,000?
800, probably.
800,000, something like that. And so that could have been almost... and
800,000 Nebraska side. That's if you don't count the Iowa side, because they don't have power from the Nebraska side.
Yeah, they have their own power. And theirs apparently didn't get hit quite as hard on that side. I don't know if the Platte River was some sort of magical stopping power for the winds, or
the Missouri.
Missouri, excuse me. Yeah, that river. The river over there. I don't know if it was some sort of magical stopping power for the thing, or if the winds were a spell cast by Iowa, and that's why it didn't affect them.
Those fucking dicks.
Yeah.
They don't deserve crisps anymore.
We knew we shouldn't have put a magical school in Iowa. Pricks. They're all Slytherin, I bet.
What the fuck?
The real funny thing is I'm House Slytherin, so maybe I should move there. Anyways.
God, you're a dork. You are such a nerd.
Not a Harry Potter live stream. Not a Harry Potter one. We are a wrestling podcast. So we're going to get into this. Before we do that, though, I would like to remind everyone that we are part of the Tatnus Co. podcast network. So you can head down to the doobly-doos down below and click the link for tatnusco.com. And it will take you to Tatnus Co. and you'll be able to see all the other shows on the network there and listen to them there and come back here. As I said, though, we are also doing this as a live stream. We've been doing this for, about 2 months now as live stream. Really kind of enjoying this. So if you enjoy our podcast, we invite you to come and join us on the live stream. We live stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Every Sunday night at 10:30 Central and every Tuesday night at 10:30 Central, as long as Sunday night is not 4th of July, because we missed it that time.
Yeah. Yep. So this is we did the Tatnus thing, we did all that stuff. This is the time where we have crimes.
Yeah, we get into the crimes. So do you have a crime to talk about this week?
Dude, I literally have to get my head on straight before I can talk about crimes. So I am still recovering from lots of using of chainsaws today.
Yeah. So, I've got 2 crimes, and they kind of go hand in hand.
Let's do it.
One crime to talk about, and I referenced it in the opening, the 90-day non-compete clause. And that is, the crime is against WWE's legal department, but the corollary crime is against AEW's legal department for realizing this. And that is that WWE's legal department, apparently, when they called Aleister Black up to the main roster from NXT a couple years ago, they forgot to go in and change his no-compete clause from 30 days to 90 days, which is standard on the main roster. So he got released, and they thought he was on a 90-day no-compete clause, and he realized it was just 30 days, and he said, deuces, I'm going to show up on AEW as soon as I can, and did. And that's because AEW, he called up AEW and was like, dude, my no-compete clause is only 30 days. And they're like, well, wait, what? He's like, yeah, I'll show it to you. Which also is funny because it prompted a absolute panic at WWE corporate, where they apparently called up Buddy Murphy in a panic, worried that they'd accidentally done the same thing to his no-compete clause and left it at 30 days. And they were wording it that they're going to be so generous. Well, hey, if we forgot to extend that to 90 days, we're going to do you a favor and offer to continue to pay you for the full 90 days while you sit at home, so you can keep collecting your sweet-ass WWE paycheck for the whole 90 days. So could you check your little contract and see if it says 30 days accidentally or if it says 90 days? Unfortunately for us, WWE was remembered to do that change for Murphy. So Murphy will have to wait a little bit longer. But so Aleister Black showing up on AEW and then black massing Arn Anderson and then Cody. So the crime goes hand in hand to both of those, and I think for the most part it's kind of an open and shut case on it because they obviously did forget to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to have shown up on AEW. But I'm also, super impressed that AEW spotted it and was like, yeah, let's do that.
So was it AEW that caught it, or was it Aleister that caught it?
I think it was, from what I read, it was Aleister Black who caught it, but he called up AEW and Tony Khan, and he said, listen, guys, this is only a 30-day no-compete. And they're like, are you sure? Because we weren't going to try to contact you until we knew your no-compete was up. And he's like, yes, it's only a 30-day no-compete. So,
to which they said, okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's
all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we can say much more about it other than props to Aleister Black for actually reading his own contract. Maybe his attorney did it.
Yeah, which I do think it's really funny because we were mentioning on last week's, I think it was the FBI, how with Zelina Vega coming back to WWE, maybe that was why Aleister Black was super nice to WWE and all of his post-WWE stuff. Like, he played it really, really nice. He didn't badmouth them. He didn't immediately start throwing bombs.
I mean, I find it incredibly interesting that it happens so quickly after Thea comes back or after Zelina comes back.
And so I speculated. I was like, maybe it was him also trying to keep the door open. But my speculation changed. I think it was him trying not to draw attention to himself. Like, he worried if he talked too much smack about WWE, maybe something would slip out. Like him saying, hey, man, I'm going to go wherever I can as soon as my 30-day no-compete's up.
Yeah.
And then them say, 30-day? Wait, what? So he's like, no, let's just talk super nice about them. Let's play it really close to the vest and just be all like, yeah, I really enjoyed working there, and they gave me my big break and all that stuff. And by the way, 30 days. So... But yeah, kudos to him. And there's more to it, of course. We talked about this, you and I, on the phone the other day, but he went out of his way to continue a storyline started in WWE and then dropped in WWE.
Yeah.
With the eye injury. That's following him over to AEW.
Which I think is a significant indicator that yes, Buddy Murphy is in fact coming to AEW. Like if there were Vegas odds on where Buddy Murphy was landing, they plummeted on their payout when that happened.
Possibly. I mean, in the end, I think it might say less about necessarily Buddy Murphy and more just about him wanting to have continuity of character. That this is not a new character. This is the same Aleister Black, aka Malachi Black, because he can't even use the name Aleister. This is the same guy who was in there. But so he comes in, he's got bruising on his face, he's got the eye contact to make it look injured. But he just shows up. They did some really kind of neat things. Earlier in the show during Cody's match, they had the lights drop out and come back. Cody looking around like, what was that? And the commentator's like, I don't know what that was. Was there some sort of problem backstage or whatever? And then I think later in the show, there was another time where the lights kind of flickered.
And they blamed it on weather.
And they said, blamed it on weather, production issues, all of this stuff. And so when the lights went out, when Arn Anderson was out there, and then came back up and it was Aleister Black in the ring, it was a little bit of a surprise. Don't get me wrong, in wrestling, anytime the lights go out, whether it's during a match or during a promo, you kind of have to assume someone's going to appear in the ring. That's just the unwritten rule of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But the two doing it a couple times earlier in the show where it didn't pay out was enough to make you think, well, maybe it is just some sort of technical glitch going on. I mean, it was their first show back on the road since the pandemic, so maybe something in the truck got wiggled loose or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. But it wasn't.
But it wasn't. But it's Aleister Black. I mean, Malachi Black. I mean, Tommy End. But this is the vessel. The Malachi Black is the messenger. Oh, shit. About the only problem I have with it is actually Excalibur.
Thank you. I was actually about to charge you with a crime. For being having a double standard for Excalibur versus...
No.
Because that Tommy End bullshit sucked.
Well, and the thing is, I think he was scripted to do that.
Well, it was a horrible script.
But it was a bad script. Hey, guess who joins us? Guess who's joining us from up north?
Oh, it took me such a while. How goes it, guys?
I bet you can't guess what we're talking about.
Wrestling crimes?
Yeah, but what specific wrestling crime? You got a choice. You got to guess.
Oh, no.
Take a stab at it. The Blade says take a stab at it. The Blade. He's one of our special guests today. This is the Blade.
Take a stab.
I thought maybe that's probably one of the biggest crimes. Problem is I'm having a brain fart right now, so I can't even...
No, seriously, just take a second and think back to what was probably the biggest pro wrestling
story
story
Jimmy
this
Uso.
week.
Jimmy
Wow.
Uso's...
Okay.
No?
No,
Well, you suck at
that's
life.
not it. You suck at... I mean, that is something we'll talk about, I guess, but no.
My bad. Not.
Let's just
not
say
coming up.
that there were some blackouts.
That was a good crime, though.
Some black.
Well, yes.
Oh.
Some black.
Okay, but you're talking about your Omaha electricity thing, or you're talking?
No. I mean, we talked about that a bit. Oh, Jesus, I'm not gonna bleed around the room. We're talking about Aleister Black.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it was a good crime. Well,
Okay,
it was a double.
just
It was a
sure.
bad crime for WWE's legal department for missing the fact that they just fucking forgot. What I want to know is,
and that goes to show you that they didn't even care about Aleister Black to begin with. So how do you even leave the 90-day clause or the 30-day clause there when bringing him up to the main roster? If you actually care for the individual, you're gonna know these things. They did it for. I imagine they did it for. Well, if they didn't do it for Keith Lee, they're definitely going to now.
Well,
if I guess we'll see, because if he wants to even sign anything now, right? Given his whole little issue. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Aleister Black was definitely the biggest news, but I was thinking more negative. My bad.
Now, my crimes are sometimes negative or positive, or both. Or both to this layout.
Hey.
So I like this
But
layout.
then we got on to one.
Or this one.
Yeah,
one,
of course you would like that
starts
one.
with Excalibur. Excalibur.
So that's the one that I was moving on to, because I have to, in conjunction with this, say that my biggest problem with Aleister Black's, Malachi Black's, Tommy End's debut was Excalibur, and it was the way he announced it.
I wrestled him back in the day.
I wrestled him back in the day. That's Tommy End, but that's not the Tommy End I know. That's Malachi Black. And I go, for the love of God, when someone shows up who's actually supposed to be a surprise, either use their name or fucking don't.
Or, just go, who the hell is that?
Yeah, oh my God, who is that?
Well, and I think there's going to be purpose to that, though. So it's going to be like a double per wrestling persona thing.
I get it, but here's the when you're a surprise show up, how does Excalibur suddenly know your double personality, right? Especially since it's a double personality that he just released a video earlier in the day on, right?
Yeah, so, just say that's Tommy End. If you're allowed to say Tommy End, you can say that's Tommy End, and he can be like, then that gives, I don't know, Malachi Black a chance to cut a promo later and be like, I'm not Tommy End. Tommy End died several years ago.
Yeah, or you say that looks like Tommy End, or again, you just shut your fucking yapper and say, who is that? Because here's the deal, Excalibur. Yeah, I get it. You used to be a wrestler. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. You know what? Most of us never saw you wrestle. So as far as most of us are concerned, you're an announcer, right? Yeah. And here's the deal is I get it. AEW likes to play nice with other promotions and not pretend like they're the only game in town. But it's one thing that WWE does at least fairly well. If you haven't been on WWE TV, you don't exist to them. Right? And so when someone shows up on the main roster from
I agree. Cha-ching.
Nowhere. Cha-ching, yeah.
When
someone shows up on the main roster from almost nowhere, either they're announced by their name, like AJ Styles when he showed up, or they're just like, oh my goodness, who is this? And they let the person tell the promo and all that stuff. Now, I get it. They didn't want Aleister Black to talk in this particular promo. They just wanted him to stare down, so they didn't want him to say, my name is Malachi Black.
He doesn't have an accent. Stop it.
Pick a fight with me. There's an accent there. It's just not a British accent, so or Australian. I mean, maybe he does. We don't know. Malachi Black might have an accent.
Yeah.
Different persona.
Yeah. This other guy, Aleister, didn't know.
But was his name Malachi Black in the
No, it was Tommy End.
No, but I mean in the video.
In the video, at the end of it, it said,
Oh, it did? Okay.
Malachi Black or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So,
because I was like, why are people making, like, I just thought it was a film thing, I guess, same day, so people are going to make the comparison. Oh, that's why they did it. But I just thought it was like a film thing that he was interested in doing, and he just did it because he seems like a creative dude. But I guess it had something to do with the AEW thing, especially since there was that Malachi Black thing at the end. I didn't realize it said Malachi Black at the end, though.
Mm-hmm. He also changed his Twitter handle. Well, he didn't change his Twitter handle. He changed his Twitter name. I don't know.
But it's not. Doesn't say WWE though. Anyways, so he did technically change his Twitter handle.
Yeah, he changed his Twitter handle before to Tommy End, right after he got let go. Right. But he changed his name on Twitter to Malachi Black.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So he could be both people.
Yeah,
it's definitely a double persona thing for sure. It's going to be like the three faces of Foley ordeal.
At one point, Excalibur tried to kind of do that. He's like, Tommy End is the vessel, and Malachi Black is the messenger, or something like that. But again, my point is that's
don't
something
give
that
us the whole story
storyline.
Yeah.
That if you want to say that looks like Tommy End, but that doesn't act like Tommy End, that's fine. But it goes back to the same thing. I had the same problem with him when he's like, "Who is that? It's the Blade."
Yeah, right. Butcher and Blade was a horrible run for him like that.
Yeah, the simple fact is, you don't need to hold our hands through these surprise show ups, right?
And you don't have to tell us their names. You can just be like, other like this is something where you could learn from JR's past. Good God Almighty, that's gotta be Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If there was a build to it.
Yeah, the only reason he was able to say that's gotta be Kane is because they'd spent weeks saying Kane's coming.
Right.
So, that's gotta be Kane. But if you, as an announcer, if in storyline for the promotion, you're not supposed to know that person's name, it doesn't matter whether you wrestled them before, you shouldn't know their name, because we shouldn't know their name. And
Right.
the name Malachi Black should come out in storyline.
Or you could say, I wrestled him before. Got no clue what his name is.
Or
Well,
as I said,
definitely say Tommy Yen, but I don't know
You
why
can
he
say
would have
Tommy.
mentioned Malachi Black.
yeah, you can say
'Cause
that
he didn't
looks
say
like
Malachi
Tommy
Black.
End.
Yeah.
What? He did
That's
say
it.
Malachi Black, and that's the
Yep.
you let Tommy End be the one who introduced it. I mean, it would have been like if when the Fiend first showed up on WWE TV, if they would have had Michael Cole say, "Well, that looks like Bray
my
Wyatt,
God.
but that must be the Fiend."
Yeah.
That's Bray
He was
Wyatt, but that's not acting like Bray Wyatt. He's some sort of fiend now. He's call him the Fiend.
Right.
He is the Fiend.
But that'd be a bit more difficult because the Fiend has a mask, right? So you can't say, "Oh, that's Bray Wyatt," because he has a mask on. You don't know who he is. Too.
He looks like Bray Wyatt.
Well, when he has his get up on too, you wouldn't necessarily his body for sure. His body shape, obviously Bray Wyatt. But like when he has this whole get up, you wouldn't really know. Did they actually say that? Did Michael Cole actually say that's got to be the Bray Wyatt?
No, I'm saying it's like
Okay.
it's like if they would have had him because they did.
Yeah, that would've been
They
stupid.
had Bray Wyatt do the entire introduction, and they had
Exactly.
Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt sell the idea of the Fiend as an alter ego by saying, "Oh yeah, no, he's different. He hurts people. He's very angry. You don't want to meet him." So the name came out organically in storyline, not with some fucking announcer saying, "Oh, look at that. That's Bray Wyatt. He's also known as the Fiend."
Yeah. Yeah. That just goes to show you that they really, although AEW likes, I guess, obviously, for the announcers, it's not totally scripted like WWE is, obvious, right? But you would think Tony Khan would have given Excalibur crap from that Blade one. Like, hey, probably should. But again, Tony Khan is kind of a fanboy too, right? So Tony Khan knows, so he assumes that everyone else is going to know. Like, hey guys, we don't want to think that you're idiots. We know who you know that is. He was called Tommy End. We're going to say that. And hey, Malachi Black, you obviously saw that video trailer earlier on, so you know what's up. But I mean, I saw the trailer once. I didn't even notice the Malachi Black thing. I thought it literally said Tommy End at the end. Pun intended. So like I guess they're thinking that the WWE fans think the WWE thinks the fans are stupid. And, hey, there's nothing else aside from WWE. AEW's taking the extreme route. We're saying, hey, you guys are also really smart. We're going to just tell you what you should already know. And there you have it. So one extreme, WWE is thinking we're just dumb. Other extreme, they're just thinking we're too smart. And it's ultimately ruining their storyline. So you got to find a middle ground, AEW. You should have learned by now, but clearly that's got to be Blade incident didn't propel you to get Excalibur to be a little bit more wiser when announcing debuts. What did he say anything for Mark Henry?
Well, Mark Henry was kind of pre-announced in advance.
True.
So, but that's the deal. I mean,
It's also
this
his
was
actual
or
name.
Andrade.
I mean,
Yeah. Or Andrade, technically.
Mm-hmm.
I think he even mentioned Andrade's name, like his new name.
Well-
That's because I remember saying, "Oh, that means the idol or something," like whatever. He named
But
it.
that's the deal is Andrade came out to music. So Andrade surprise debut had music that said El Idolo
Right. True.
again and everything. So, and that's fine. That means it came out in storyline. Aleister Black, Tommy End, Malachi Black, whatever you want to call him, his debut was a surprise with no music, which I believe is the best way to do the surprise debut, is to not have music.
Right.
Just have them show up and come out, because to me it breaks the suspension of disbelief a bit to be like, they're a surprise, but you had someone orchestrate up a song and you had it queued up in the back room for the truck to hit for them to come out. Oh, and you had pyro set up and you had a whole entrance montage for the big screen, the Titantron.
Well, I mean, still, but it could still be a shocker too, right? If the lights go out, the music hits, like for Sting, that happened, right? We saw the music,
And-
we didn't know he was coming, and it worked. So
It works sometimes.
For sure.
But
I
they
think-
also had weeks of vignettes beforehand where it said "Winter is coming."
Again, exactly.
again,
So
you
that's
didn't
it,
think
they
it was
teased
Sting
it.
though.
You didn't think it was Sting, but you knew someone was coming. So
Someone from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, apparently it was Jon Snow, who knows nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
You know nothing.
Seeing DFA mow down on that piece of cheese, though, reminds me there's a TikTok trend of taking your camera and videotaping you throwing a piece of cheese onto your wife's face from without her knowing. So you just your videotape with your camera up like this.
Have you done that TikTok challenge?
I don't have the coordination to do it. I wouldn't hit my wife.
I'm divorced because I did it.
Now he has the cheese all to himself. Smart man.
Plus, yeah, I don't share my cheese. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's valid. Good point.
Cheese is important.
Cheese,
Anyway.
Louise.
So, but what do you guys think if you're on the live stream or you're watching it down in the future in some way? What did you think of the Tommy End / Malachi Black debut? Let us know in the comments. Or you can let us know on Twitter or TikTok or wherever. Just let us know.
Just let us know.
You can hit my Twitter handle there, my whatever Instagram. Let us know there. But that's my crime for this week. It's kind of a triple, I guess, in the end, because it was WWE legal, AEW legal for noticing it and taking advantage of it. I think it was actually Aleister Black, Tommy End who noticed it. But AEW
Is that for
legal.
sure? Yeah.
I from what I read, it was because Tony Khan has said before multiple times that he doesn't like to reach out to people until he knows they're out of their no-compete.
Right.
So he would have thought that Tommy End had a
90 days.
90-day. And so it had to have been Tommy End, Aleister Black, reaching out to him saying, "No, guys, I'm free. It was a 30-day. I'll show you the paperwork." But
That's
for
dope.
them to have
Or-
the guts to just do it.
He could have Alistair could have reached out to him before the 30-day and said, and Tony could say, "Yeah, we'll just review your contract real quick to see how much talking we can do beforehand."
Yeah. Who knows, but either way, it still was fucking awesome.
I think that
Yeah.
that also implies something that with those call-ups, I don't know that WWE is paying them more because that should be a standardized contract.
Yeah.
They are, from everything I've read, they do get a pay bump, but it's kind of one of those find and replace sort of things. Where the contract, because every person doesn't get the same pay bump, right? The pay bump is based on how long you've been with the company and how well you did in NXT and what they plan to do with you and and your history. Like, when Rhea Ripley got called up to the main roster, her pay bump is different than when they called Kevin Owens up to the main roster, because he was a long-term veteran of the industry who was a NXT champion, put on these great matches, all of this stuff, and they had plans for him. She was basically,
I thought you were going to say sexism.
No. Well, I mean, I'm sure that plays into it as well. But like I said, I think most of it is the legal just goes, takes their contract, finds and replaces certain things. So they go, find where it mentions this pay rate, replace it with this pay rate. Find where it mentions this. And they just forgot to find where it mentions 30-day no compete and change it to 90-day. The real question is how many other people who were fired at the same time as Aleister Black ran to their paperwork. I'm like, now I gotta check this shit.
Yeah.
Did they do it to me? Did they do it to me? Did they? Nah, fuck.
Yeah.
We did mention that Buddy Murphy did get the panicked call from WWE Legal because they weren't sure whether they remembered to change his.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. And they did?
They did, but they called him up and... At least according to him, and I guess, take it with a grain of salt. They were offering him, they said, we need you to check to make sure that we changed that to 90 days, that we didn't accidentally leave it at 30 days. If we did leave it at 30 days, though, what we'd like to offer you is the ability to continue to take your paycheck from WWE for the full 90 days, as if you had a 90-day in your clause. We'll continue to do that, and you can continue to make that money. And not have to take independent bookings and all that stuff. We're willing to do that for you.
But they didn't bump him any extra cash.
No, yeah, they didn't say like, well, if you want to, we'll do another 30% on top of it if you want to stay the full night. But it turns out he already had the 90 days, so they didn't have to do anything.
No Jeff Jarrett money there.
But I just think, like I said, there had to have been at least 2 or 3 other people who immediately ran to their contracts. Like, wait a second, I got to check to make sure. Okay,
I'm sure they all did, especially the NXT stars who moved up. Well, was there any NXT who moved up to the main roster who got fired aside from Buddy and?
Well, the Iconics.
Oh snap! Yeah, but that would have been ages ago, though.
Yes, but
again,
they could have missed the non-compete ages ago.
Because it was ages ago, but their 90 days still isn't up, so it wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was a one-off. They just kind of missed it, but that just goes to show you how much they even cared about Aleister, anyways. So, unfortunately, what a great talent! I don't know why he's going to be facing Cody Rhodes, but
wow.
For the love of God.
RHOADS Rhodes.
I don't like pronouncing the D. Cody Rhodes. I don't like. I mean, I know Cody Rhodes is a great work talent and so on and so forth, and I'm sure they'll put on a good match. It's just, man, just give me like. I don't know. Like, I don't see, but I also don't see both of their styles meshing well either. So,
yeah. Imagine that. Wrestlers that don't have to be exactly the same in the ring.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Here's why he's going in with Cody Rhodes. Because Cody Rhodes has a history in AEW and has shown in AEW that he can put on good matches, but he also has this history of making new and upcoming superstars look like fucking stars. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy all had banger matches with Cody Rhodes. And even if in the end of the feud Cody Rhodes came out on top, it still elevated these younger people because Cody Rhodes is considered one of the top stars in AEW.
But you don't need to do that with Aleister.
You don't need to do it, but at the same point, you are still introducing him to a new audience. There are enough people who watch AEW who did not watch WWE. And that's the deal. That is the group of people that AEW is after more than anything, is the so-called lapsed fans. The people who watched WCW, who watched TNA back in the day and then had gotten out of it because they didn't like WWE and all of that stuff. Those people don't know Aleister Black, right? AEW knows that Aleister Black is a potential superstar, but those people don't. So you still have to introduce him, and you have to introduce him strong. On top of it, I'm betting Cody Rhodes is planning on taking some time off to be with the new baby.
Oh, okay.
So
Black is really gonna get this crazy black. He already gave him the black mask. Do you think that was his write-off, or they're actually gonna do something then?
You know,
they'll have a match.
They could do either way. I'm betting they have a match, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they,
because he was knocked out. Like he was out.
I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they just on next week said, you know, hey, Cody Rhodes isn't coming back for a while. He that black mask took him out, and so. But at the same time as they released Aleister Black, they released Buddy Murphy, who was an NXT call-up. They released Ruby Riott, who was an NXT call-up. They released Santana Garrett, who was in NXT, and Jessamyn Duke, who was in NXT. So both of them only have 30-day no compete, and some other people.
I thought I saw Jessamyn Duke show up this week.
It was Amanda Nunes was on AEW.
Okay.
Which, because I remember, you know, it's Amanda Nunes. You know,
not all MMA stars look alike, la.
Yeah, but it's Amanda Nunes.
You Canadians do.
The one who made Ronda Rousey look like a little bitch. And so that was an AEW dig at WWE, but it was a subtle one. But it was like, oh, you get Ronda Rousey, yeah. We got Amanda Nunes here, so
straight up, yeah.
Word.
Yeah, so the Iconics 90-day will be up July 15th.
Oh wow!
So it's right around the corner.
So it's right around the corner. But that's my point. Is if they easily could have ran and said, wait, let's check.
Yeah.
And then, it's still 90 days, so we still got a couple weeks. Chelsea Green was also an NXT call-up, released at the same time as the Iconics. So her no-compete is up, and there's news about her that just broke a couple hours ago that makes me a little sad. But
she's going into the third brand of our game,
where
we usually take our shitty wrestlers to.
They announced that Maria Kanellis was the one announcing the contestants in their women's tournament for their new Ring of Honor women's title. And she said something along the lines of like, my choice isn't able to be in this because of outstanding circumstances, but she's gonna be, and then introduced Chelsea Green, who made an appearance and said, I'm not gonna be able to be in this, but I'll be watching intently from home. So Chelsea Green is apparently going to Ring of Honor. However, we don't know if it's a full-time contract or a short-term contract, a one-off contract. We don't know any of that. I can hope still.
Right.
Because she's one that I wanted.
She's the one that you want?
Tucker was released April 15th. He was an NXT call-up that probably nobody really wants, so whatever.
And probably has the 30-day for sure.
Yeah, Kalisto was the same time, but nobody in America probably wants him. He'll go down to Mexico and make a killing. Wesley Blake and Bo Dallas were both released April 15th, and both of them were NXT call-ups, although Bo Dallas a long time ago and had multiple contracts. So I'm sure his contract was fine. But Wesley Blake might have ran to his contract and looked, because the Forgotten Sons had really just been called up before they, got forgotten. The Iconics, the Inspiration, I think is their new name, have been really active on TikTok recently. Mostly just doing dance challenges, though, so not anything new there, but super active on TikTok. We know Samoa Joe went back. Steve Cutler, the other forgotten son, was released back in February and has already shown up in Impact.
That would be interesting to see if they're actual friends or, they want to reunite or not. Because Brody and Eric Rowan did not want to reunite. Brody did not want to reunite with Eric Rowan.
Yeah, they didn't want to be a team. They were really good friends and everything, but they kind of felt that as a team, it was kind of holding each of them back.
Of course, yep. For Brody, he didn't want to have to bunk with Eric because apparently Eric snores really bad. Like, really bad. I didn't know that.
Smells really bad?
Snores.
I feel like you're a horrible snorer.
Me?
Yeah, I feel like you snore. You wake people up when you snore.
It's called sleep apnea.
I have recordings of my snoring if you would like to hear it.
I'm good.
Okay.
I apparently talk in my sleep. My wife can never remember what I said, but
I mumble. Yeah.
So, moving on to crimes.
We will move on from this crime to the next crime. Who wants to go next?
I'll let you pick. I do have a crime.
I don't.
And it's not Jimmy Uso.
Okay.
We will go to Vincent Kayfabe. What is your crime for the week?
My crime is bastardizing the NXT roster. And in defense, I do want to let the fans know, the jury know. We talked about this beforehand. We didn't talk about it being a crime, but Smarks and I talked about it for about an hour the other night while I was driving. So, this happened most recently with Shotzi and Tegan Nox. Tegan Nox literally made her return this week, challenged Dakota Kai, or not challenged, but showed a threat toward Dakota Kai.
Towards Candice LeRae.
Or Candice LeRae, yes. Sorry. Yeah, because we still haven't finished the Dakota Kai feud.
Yeah, that's my frustration, but that's another thing altogether.
And yeah, I mean, I've made some crass jokes about Tegan's injuries. I hope she doesn't get injured. She is one of my absolute favorite women's wrestlers. Her shiniest wizard is I'm finding the D's you're dropping from Rhodes all the time.
See what I mean?
I put it on the end of wizard. Anyway.
Thanks for picking the D's up for me.
Yeah, no problem. I like some
you
D's.
Got D's.
I like lots of D's.
D's nuts. Sorry,
D's in my coming out of my mouth. D's. Anyway, so Shiniest Wizard is a fantastic move. She's just really entertaining to watch. In fact, when they put her on the shelf with the War Games match, I was like, oh no. I had just been saddled with the NXT reviews. I was excited. I literally, 6 months before that, started watching NXT, would you say, Smarks?
Mm-hmm.
At most. So I really had started to, that's the point where you really start investing in them, and you're like, damn it, I want to see this chick more. She was great. I marked out like a nut job when she showed up to serve pizza to Keith Lee and Mia Yim in a Keith Lee storyline while she was injured. That's how much I like her. I hope she doesn't get injured, but more important than I hope she doesn't get injured, God, don't put her on the main roster.
Yeah, straight up.
The main roster has fucked NXT star after NXT star after NXT star. We just talked about the number of people that were fired in those last firings who, quite frankly, had less than extravagant runs in WWE. I loved the Bo Leave gimmick, but you're never going to get it anywhere if you can't win with Bo Leave. Ruby Riott, same thing.
So speaking of people whose characters were fucked over with their main roster. It's time to call in our special guest for the
Ooh.
week. Let's check in on the Demon Cam.
Finn Balor.
Yeah. So Finn, did you think you got treated well on the main roster? You know, we're still having a hard time with the microphones.
A little bit silent.
So.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous that people have to beg to go back to NXT. That the likes of Ember Moon, and we don't know for sure what happened there, but Ember Moon, in all likelihood, said she didn't want to come back up.
Mm-hmm.
These are horrible, daft, career-ending call-ups. Aleister Black was fucking boring. And then he got saddled with being Gangrel / Undertaker combined-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew things were a problem with Aleister Black on the main roster when they added a creaking to his entrance.
Yeah. Pitting!
Yeah, fucking pitting for Ricochet. God damn.
We're not going to see him have a title anytime soon. That's stupid.
Ricochet?
It's just, yeah.
Well, I mean,
a
at least
major
they're kind
title,
of doing
like
right.
the WWE Championship.
No, for sure. But at least they're kind of doing something with him now, though, which isn't great. But at least he's on TV. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't resign when his contract is up. Because
do you remember? Have you ever seen the Scary Movies or the Date movie? Maybe it was called Date Movie. Didn't really those parody movies that are Scary Movie or Date Movie or stuff.
Right.
There's one of them where a woman says, "For once, I just want a guy who will shit on my chest." You've never had anybody shit on your chest? I'll shit on your chest. I feel like WWE thinks that's legit. What? NXT star? You've never had anybody shit on your chest? Well, come on up. I'll shit on your chest.
Yeah.
It's fucking garbage. They have shit on every single call-up there's been. Mm-hmm. I don't even care if you say Kevin Owens and Finn Balor, who've been Universal Champions. The only person that's ever, and I mean ever, been called up that's been treated well on the main roster is the 3 members of the Shield. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. Bray Wyatt occurred in the startup to NXT, which was Nexus. That's it. Right. Daniel Bryan's in the same era. Everybody else has been pulled up since it's been an NXT product line, since it changed from FCW to NXT, has been shit on in some way, shape, or form. Now, would Kevin Owens leave his role in the company because of it? Probably not. He's probably getting paid pretty well.
He's got kids to feed.
Yeah.
Hey, well, man, I mean, so did Heath Slater, but you know.
Heath Slater didn't leave on his own choice. Heath Slater probably would have stayed with that company until fucking retired if he had an option to.
KO has been handed shit storylines.
Well,
he's been handed great ones too. Don't get me wrong. The best friend thing with Jericho was fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's a reason that it was heavily rumored that Kevin Owens was going back down to NXT about a year ago. Because obviously they don't know how to use him on the main roster. He obviously is not as happy on the main roster as he was down there. I mean, the pay is better on the main roster, no doubt about that, but you don't have better job security on the main roster. You still could get shit canned anytime you want to. The storylines are shitty. There's even more to it. Like I did not like the pairing of Tegan and Shotzi, and that's not because I have a problem with either of them. They just don't match, right? Do you know who would have been a better pairing for Shotzi coming up?
I don't know. Does she have a tag partner right now? Ember Moon.
Yeah, and Ember, like we said, Ember probably said, "Nah, I want to stay down here," and that's fine.
Yeah, but we don't have insider information there. We don't know.
Yeah, we're just guessing on that. But here's the deal: is they've already got someone on the main roster who would have been a fairly decent match for Shotzi as a tag partner, and that's fucking Naomi.
Yeah, they both have a hip attack.
They both have a hip attack. They also both have a fascination with the color bright neon green.
Yep.
Hey, so I saw a note from, God, was that Candice LeRae? Somebody wrote a note to Naomi. Oh, it was Alexa. Wrote a note to Naomi saying, I am so sorry you're going through this. Is that regarding Jimmy or?
Probably.
Yeah,
Well, what happened online is a bunch of people have started attacking on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok even, I think, have started posting attack videos and attacks to Naomi, blaming her for Jimmy's relapse.
Oh.
Like she's the one who gave him the booze or
That's it.
or whatever.
Honey, I'm glad you're home. What's for dinner, you ask?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's this beer bong.
It's shots of Hennessy.
Yeah, let's
Your
do this.
favorite.
Let's go.
That's
till you drop.
Yeah,
That was all incredibly sexist and insensitive, and I'm sorry for doing it, but that's the stupidity of those remarks.
I got to point out the stupidity of my remarks because I don't drink at all. I don't know if you drink Hennessy in a shot.
Did you say shots of Hennessy? Because I thought you said shots and Hennessy.
I said shots of Hennessy, and I don't fucking know.
I guess you could, but usually it's
any drink can be a shot if you want it to be. I
that's
guess.
it.
Shots of water.
Shots of water.
Doing
That's
shots
on one.
of
That's on a whole nother level.
Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero Sugar.
Shot.
Everybody.
No, and that's the odds. I think just Tegan and Shotzi just don't mesh together from a gimmick. So I have a problem with that. I also have a problem because their match wasn't even airing yet. Like, it was announced they were going to be on there. And I already saw 3 different people online make a joke about how their team name should be N-O-T-Z-I, not Z. I hate it.
Okay, this is the fans saying this.
This is the fans. But this is something that WWE should have thought of beforehand.
You know, when you said that the other night, I didn't understand what you were saying until you just now said it. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because I was like, not Z?
Nope.
Not.
Not.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the fans that were posting this were not posting it as humor. They were posting it as this should be their name. Because
I mean, to be fair, it sounds like WWE would do something that stupid to play off.
I mean, Shotzi does come to the ring in a tank.
Yeah, she's also Filipino. And Tegan's from Wales, so
yeah, shit on the whole idea, bud. Jeez.
Yeah, I am gonna shit on that idea. That idea gets shit on. That idea 100% gets shit on. I will shit all over that idea.
All over its chest and everything.
All over its chest, yes. It doesn't even have to ask. I will shit on that idea's chest. Fuck that idea. But on top of it, we like you mentioned, Tegan has a storyline. She just came back on Tuesday's NXT to start a feud with Candice LeRae. She just re-debuted. They've been playing these battery charging vignettes for weeks, and she was revealed to be the one that they were for. Whether that was who they were always for or not can be up to speculation, but she was the one that was revealed they were for. And then 3 days later, you're like, she's going to be on the main roster. Now, we don't know if that call-up's permanent. It might be that it was just a one-off that they needed to fill a roster.
It's for sure she was the battery person?
It's for sure, because they had the battery show on the screen, and then the lights went out, and they came back up, and she's standing there in front of the battery.
Demon Balor, you were there. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, Demon, what did you think of that Demon Balor?
Charged up.
We still have a problem with their microphones. I don't know. We're gonna have to.
Apparently, his background music plays in very, very poor tone.
Yes. It's like a Victrola recording of his entrance music.
That is so messed up. How do you do constant vignettes of batteries?
Somebody's
for, like,
return?
For
Well,
somebody's return,
I don't know. Let's
and then you
ask
bring them up
Aleister-
to the main roster.
Let's ask Aleister Black, who had vignettes for weeks coming back to face off with Big E and then gets fucking shit canned.
Yep, it's valid. But I mean, this is NXT we're talking about.
The Blade says that vignettes aren't necessary for returns.
In the end, you're right. This was NXT doing the vignettes, and then WWE main roster coming on and saying, fuck your vignettes.
Like, why would Triple H agree to that?
Vignettes.
Yes, fuck your vignettes.
Like, why would Triple H even agree to that, though? Why? Because I imagine Triple H had this battery
Because Triple
thing,
H
or-
is the fucking boss.
Yeah, because Triple H doesn't get a say. When VKM says, hey, put those people on my show, they go on his show.
Yeah, but you can fight for it a bit. Say, we just did a vignette with this battery thing, though. We kind of need Tegan here.
And VKM says, I don't give a shit about your vignettes. I want her on my show. Because in the end, the buck stops there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There have been rumors for years that Triple H has frustrations with the power dynamics in WWE. That because he's down in NXT, he's kind of considered second fiddle, and he doesn't have any power over who goes up to the main roster. And he doesn't, right? It's what happened when Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano got called up to the main roster a couple years ago, right? They got called up. What was that?
For the invasion angle.
He opened. There was reports that he openly asked to not ruin the storylines, and they did.
Yeah, it was just Vince said, bring up the what was it? I think it was 5 best people in NXT. And didn't ask Triple H. Triple H was like, well, we've got storylines with these people. And they said, nope, we're taking them up. So Triple H doesn't have a say in whether they go up to the main roster or not.
But you're talking about the invasion angle. When NXT invaded?
Oh,
WWE?
both weeks of it, yeah.
Yeah, both weeks of it, yes.
Okay.
But they had, because remember, at the time, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa were enemies. Were feuding in NXT. And they come up to the main roster.
They were DIY.
And they were DIY together as a babyface tag team.
Yeah.
So I did misspeak earlier. I do think that Rhea Ripley comes out of her call up for the better.
So far.
I think Bianca Belair has come out of her call up for the better.
So far.
But at one point, I thought
Bayley.
the same for Asuka.
At one point,
yeah,
they thought the same for Finn Balor.
So as a whole, women are about 50-50. And as a whole, men are 100%. Your call-up is going to shit on you.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it is...
Aside from Seth and The Shield. So not 100.
But
okay. Well, that was a call-up, yeah. Yep, you're right.
Well, it was a call-up, and it wasn't, because they were on NXT for a very, very short period of time.
And KO. But I guess he's being shit on now.
Yep, and Sammy.
Sammy.
Oh, wait, no, Sammy's being shit on now. Oh, Shinsuke. Oh, wait. No,
Oh, man. How? You have so
Kinda
much
being
great
fucking
talent.
shit on.
I don't know
Bobby
how.
Roode. Bobby Roode is... No.
Dude, and Bobby Roode. You had this guy that everyone loved in NXT. That music was great. It worked. People enjoyed his wrestling. And then...
It's Braun Strowman. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Never in NXT.
He was never
He
in
was never in
NXT.
NXT.
Yes, he was.
No.
He followed Adam Rose when he was in NXT. He was one of Adam Rose's party people while he was training in NXT. He was in NXT. He was not on NXT as a performer.
So there's a caveat to it. because he was, as far as I know, never on NXT TV, but he was in Adam Rose's entourage when Adam Rose went to the main roster.
Yes.
So,
he was on training with NXT at the time. That doesn't make me right. It just makes me different.
So, Balor, what do you got to say about that? Demon King.
Oh wait, no, that's Cable Guy. I mean, if you can do it wrong, I can do it wrong, right?
Somebody's gotta kill the babysitter. So yeah, no call-ups from NXT to the main roster often suck.
Garbage.
And it's so frequent and so bad that it makes me nervous about it.
Well, and I think some of it is, and I mentioned this before, gimmicks that can work in NXT struggle on the main roster. And I'm going to use a name that I could give a crap less if we ever see him again, but Velveteen Dream was a perfect example. That gimmick would never have flown on main roster, right?
Ember Moon's vampire gimmick didn't work on main roster.
But Velveteen Dream, No Way Jose.
Yeah, sucked on main roster.
Sucked on main roster. On NXT, he was fun. He was
party people. Party people don't succeed on main roster.
But we mentioned fucking Bobby Roode.
Well, the Fashion Police there, but the Fandango and thing, not the Fashion Police, but when Breeze was just doing his thing up in NXT with the camera, it worked. In WWE and the main roster, it didn't at all. Mm-hmm. And I found, and it's amazing, when he went back to NXT, I was able to watch him no problem. Like, I realized, oh, wow, this guy's actually a good wrestler. Whereas, I guess on WWE, he was maybe doing the same thing, but, not as good, obviously. Like, he was more comfortable. Yeah. He was getting jobbed out.
I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial amongst WWE fans, or NXT fans, maybe. The worst thing to happen to Tyler Breeze in his second NXT run was Fandango coming back.
Ooh. Yeah. I want to hear this.
His gimmick before Fandango came back was no longer comedy. It was still fashion related, but it was like serious. He came out, he was wearing black mostly. He was edgy, he was coming out, he was kicking ass. It wasn't comedy related anymore. He was a wrestler. And I loved it. And then Fandango comes back.
And they make Breezango again. And they suddenly become comedy, and they start doing this gimmick where they parody their opponent every week before they show up to the ring. And it was comedy again, and we could not take Tyler Breeze seriously anymore. Tyler Breeze is a seriously good wrestler when he's allowed to be I'd like to see Fandango in a different role.
I think it would have been better for Fandango too. I'm not just saying that Fandango ruined Tyler Breeze. I think Fandango ruined Fandango. I think
what I'd like to see is Fandango come back in a new promotion. Do you remember when William Regal initially came over to WWE?
Yes, when he was Lord Steven Regal in
WCW. No. Oh yeah, when he was that, and then he came over as the man's man, William Regal. And he's a man. He's a man. I think that gimmick actually works for Fandango.
I think almost any gimmick other than Ballroom Dancer could work for Fandango. The problem with
the Fashion Police kind of worked.
It was okay, but it was just a filler gimmick. It was never going to be a main roster superstar gimmick in the long run. But that's my point. Here's the deal, and I've even mentioned it before. I said it at one point. I said Fandango is just modern day Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
And because of that, because I don't care how talented Disco as a wrestler is, because I think he actually was fairly talented. Yeah. That gimmick is always going to be a mid-card gimmick. It's never going to be main card is never going to be top of the card, right? The
Yeah.
same thing with Fandango as a gimmick. And Tyler Breeze's gimmick could have been in contention for one of the top titles in NXT as a more serious, edgy fashionista. But as soon as Fandango came back and turned it back into Fashion Police,
it was
into
pompous self photo thing that made him main card potential.
Mm-hmm. And he still did that in his gimmicky one, but now it was edgy. It had style to it.
Yeah.
But as soon as Fandango came back, it was back to Breezango. It was back to Fashion Police. It was the same thing over again. I'm telling you, go back and watch. What was it again? I'm gonna find.
Here's the really scary thing, with the exception of Finn Balor, who's had a good return to NXT. You might say Ember Moon, but she's not Ember Moon from before in NXT.
Aside from, well, I mean, the unfortunate thing is there haven't been enough going back down to NXTs.
Joe, I suppose, had a good return to NXT. Maybe.
And so that's to me what it comes down to. Is there have been too few. I think if they made it basically just a rotating thing where you could go back down to NXT whenever you wanted to. I think I'll give you one that I think his return to NXT was better for him than his main roster run, even though in the end it didn't turn out so great. But Killian Dane.
I'd agree with that.
Yes, he's
What
out of
was
work
his
now.
WWE? What was his Raw main roster?
He was part of Sanity.
Oh, right.
And then
he returned just as Killian Dane.
And then he returned just by himself as Killian Dane. In an interview this week, it came out that his return to NXT was actually part of his idea. He called up Triple H and he said, "Listen, they're not using me on the main roster. I just want to wrestle. If you want me to come wrestle a couple matches on NXT in between my time, I'll do both. That's fine. I just want to be on. And it was Triple H who was kind of like said, "Hey, are you not going to be using Killian Dane? We can use him down in NXT." And he comes down to NXT and they present him as a legitimate powerhouse and someone to be scared of. Now, yes, he didn't last forever down there, basically a year. And he's now out of work. But he probably would have been fired a year ago from the main roster if he hadn't moved down to NXT.
Very true. Very true.
So Tyler Breeze went back down to NXT May of 2019. And he showed up down there at first in his bright blue and green gimmick and all of that stuff. But it was within a week or two after that he had a new look, and it was really fun to watch, this new Tyler Breeze. And then Fandango showed up, and it stopped being as much fun to me. And again, I think Fandango ruins Fandango. And by that, I mean the gimmick of Fandango ruins the wrestler Fandango.
Yeah.
And
Completely
of
agree with
course,
that.
now that he's going to be looking for employment elsewhere, he'll have to come up with a new gimmick. Well, I mean, he won't have to. He could go to NXT and be not NXT, Impact Wrestling and be Disco Inferno Part 2.
Yep.
I guess, but it would be in his best interest to come up with a new gimmick, a new thing, and heck, maybe not play so far from the vest, maybe play a little closer to himself, just be a wrestler, right? I mean, look at EC3. when he came back to NXT, he was presented as a star in NXT. He came to the main roster and they shit on him. He got cut and he said, you know what, I'm going to drop this whole billionaire son gimmick that I've developed, this EC3 gimmick. I'm just going to be EC3. Still use that name because I have it, but I'm just going to reinvent myself as a wrestler, as a professional wrestler. And he's wrestling today in the Ring of Honor Super Cup. I think the best of the best is what they call it. In fact, I'm going to check to see if I have an update on whether that match has gone down. No, and it might be, I think they're doing it as a 2-day, so it might not be till tomorrow's match.
Are you thinking he wins it?
I'm trying to remember who he goes against. Flip Gordon. It was earlier tonight. Flip Gordon. EC3 defeated Flip Gordon.
Snap.
So yeah, I mean, he reinvented himself by it, and this is a chance for Fandango to do the same. Reinvent yourself, come up with a new gimmick that's not "I'm a ballroom dancer," because I'm a ballroom dancer. That's the most WWE stupid ass gimmick I've ever heard.
Or WCW Disco Inferno.
Yeah, it's like they kept all the dumb around after. It
seems to be like the only thing they keep around is the dumb and the NWO, and they brought the NWO back kind of for that thing. Thank God they at least took advantage of that, because that's a big money maker. But no, yeah, I'm just glad that at least Aleister's in a company that hopefully will appreciate him, and I hope every other NXT star who gets the shove, who's not being, and I hope Keith Lee, whatever happens with that, with the whole trademark issue. I think he made an announcement recently too, or something. I didn't really read the article, but he made a note to their fans. I don't know if it was something new or just
the last note I saw says it was basically just, don't give up on me. I'm not giving up on this thing. I'll be back better than ever. Stay positive. Okay. Sort of a thing. Okay. It was an announcement that was a non-announcement. It really didn't say anything.
Okay, just kind of positive vibes. Hey guys, still here. Mm-hmm. I'm still not giving up. So on, and blah blah blah. Okay.
But on that note, I think we'll move on from DA Fabe's crime, which then puts JLB on the hot seat. What's your crime?
All right, so
tell me my crime. Tell me what's your crime.
If you wait a moment, I will tell you. No, I'm just not going to mention anything. Nope, you'll never know. I'm going to be very basic in this one, but I think it should be mentioned. So I am going to mention the fact that WWE is still using Jimmy. Is it Jimmy or Jay? Jimmy. Still using Jimmy Uso as part of the storyline. I had originally thought after his whole DUI fiasco. So he was in prison again. I looked up at his rap sheet. His rap sheet is like crazy long with stuff. I think he's had like 8 arrests in like the last 4 years or five years, and just nonstop. Like this guy just never learns. And there was one of them where he had basically he was talking shit to a cop sort of ordeal and so on. Anyways, this guy basically never learns. His brother Jay, only one arrest, and after that he cleaned up his act. He's good to go, no problem. But so you would think now, after all these strikes, hey, we're gonna discipline him, we're gonna not use him, and that is it. Kind of give that whole, hey guys, kind of use them as an example. But do they do that? No, of course not. They don't do that. Probably someone who's probably going to get the rep for this is most likely going to be perhaps Naomi. because they aren't going to ruin, I guess, what they have here with Roman Reigns and the head of the table and so on and so forth. And I was like, okay, but what are you guys really doing with this? Is there really anything big that you're going to approach here? Then I had saw David Meltzer mention on his radio show, oh, it's because they're going to build up to doing something with The Rock. And I was like, okay, guys, we've heard of this happening for like a year and a half now, and Rock was supposed to come, and obviously COVID and whatnot, and so have you. But I mean, can you really, really plan that far ahead, though? If you're going to make this something for WrestleMania, we were supposed to have John Cena at SummerSlam, and apparently John Cena is not going to be able to do it because he has another movie role, and so he won't be able to do anything on SummerSlam. So I don't know why WWE is really giving Jimmy the time of day to really do anything. Not only are you making obviously you're doing favoritism here. It's been a known thing that favoritism for the an Anoa'i family has been a thing for quite some time. We saw that Lana had mentioned that on Talk is Jericho. But come on, man. There is no way. Like, who would have came to his defense here is my thing. Like, you're not going to piss off Roman. Or I guess maybe you are, but I mean, come on. How can anyone justify the countless stupidities that this guy has done and not kind of say, well, yeah, okay, you know what? You should kind of be disciplined. Sort of.
The same way they justify 37 firings in the middle or at the very beginning of a pandemic. Vince said so. This has nothing to do with Naomi, Roman, The Rock, nothing. Every single person in Jimmy's life wants him to get help. Real impatient help. Every single person.
So then why not Vince say,
Vince doesn't want to rewrite the story.
Well, Vince...
Not that much rewriting here.
I think it's more Vince... Because he did slightly rewrite the story. He rewrote it to mention the arrest.
The arrest, yeah. Which is
into the storyline.
Yeah.
And that that Roman's disappointed in him. But no, D.A. Fabe is right on this. It's the people around Jimmy want him to get help. But the person in charge, the person who signs his paychecks, wants him to continue making fucking money. And that's what it comes down to. And here's the deal. I was going to mention this on this as well. I have a bad taste in my mouth anytime a person's real life struggles with alcoholism get used as a storyline. Because it wasn't that long ago that it was used as a storyline for another person.
For Jeff Hardy?
For Jeff Hardy. And I hated it then. And we've got it on audio of us all talking about how we didn't like that. It made us uneasy. Right?
For sure.
And it wasn't even that long ago. I guess I'll date myself on this because I'm one of those people who hears 10 years ago and still thinks 1994. But it wasn't that long ago that Scott Hall's real life struggles with addiction were used as a storyline. And that didn't turn out so great. I'm never, ever a fan of using a person's real life struggles with addiction as part of a story.
Road Warrior Hawk.
I was going to mention that. Yep. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm never a fan of this. Jimmy Uso should have immediately been written off TV. And here's the deal. Made an example of.
Yep.
You say, this is the sort of stuff that we won't tolerate from our superstars. We're going to get him help. But he is not going to be featured on our TV show. until he can show that he can keep his nose clean, for lack of a
Straight
better
up.
term.
And if anything, you're enabling him.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, hey, you did this, you messed up, but it's okay. You'll still get paid and you'll still be in the biggest storyline on our show.
Yeah.
No problem.
Oh, and by the way, we're about to go back on tour again, where you're going to be traveling from city to city, basically nonstop, and staying in hotels and driving rental cars and partying out late after shows again. You know, that's not exactly the best atmosphere to put a person struggling with addiction in.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Like,
and here's the deal. I've given WWE a ton of credit before for one policy that they have. And that policy has always been that anyone who has ever worked for WWE, who wants to enter rehab, WWE will pay for your treatment. Right? They've had that policy before. Whether you're still working for them or not. You can be working for TNA. But if you have to go into rehab, WWE will cover that. The problem comes, they need to be consistent on that and say it to their active superstars. Say, listen, you need to go into rehab right now. We're going to cover it. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay a dime. We're going to take care of it because we want to take care of you. Because we're investing in you for the future.
So hold on, though. If everyone in Jimmy's family wants him to get help, then no one is on board with him still being a part of this storyline. I would think Roman would still have a lot of pull because he is the biggest draw on SmackDown.
He has a certain amount of pull, but do you know who has the most pull?
Vince, I get it.
BKM.
But this comes to your cousin's health at the same time. It's not just like, oh, a little thing. Like, this could literally ruin a marriage. You know what I mean? You're seeing someone you love going down in the dumps.
It could ruin a lot of things, but
that's why I would think it's more serious. It's not
maybe I'll give you a little bit of perspective on it from an American side, because being Canadian, maybe you don't understand this, but here in America, we fucking work ourselves to death. We go to work sick because we can't afford health care or can't afford to take time off to go to a doctor.
You guys get sick days, though.
Not mandated, no. I have 0 sick days at my job.
Really?
0.
It's called paid time off.
Yep. I don't even have
paid time off.
I don't even have PTO. I have 0 sick days at my job. Because it's not federally mandated, it's not state mandated to give sick time at the moment. Now, there are...
But most jobs, or I guess it depends on your field, I guess. But most jobs have paid time off.
Some guys, some jobs have. I wouldn't even say most jobs. You work at McDonald's, you don't have PTO, right?
No, probably not. No.
You work at Burger King, you don't have PTO. You work at Joe's gas.
Well,
station.
not minimum wage. Not minimum wage. I imagine. I don't think minimum wage wouldn't. Minimum wage
even those above, because McDonald's doesn't pay minimum wage. They don't pay a ton of money, but they don't pay minimum wage.
Snap. Okay.
Gas stations don't pay minimum wage for the most part. There's a gas station here in Omaha. I saw. I almost quit my job to apply for it because they said starting wage was $16 an hour at a fucking gas station. But do you know what you don't get at a gas station? PTO. I would say, and this is just me pulling a number out of my ass for it, but I would say probably 60% of jobs in America do not have sick time.
Okay.
And even the ones that do, it's a relatively minimal amount of sick time. Like, my wife's job has PTO, right? And it's accrued, but it maxes out until she's been there for 5 years. It maxes out at, I want to say, 7 days a year.
Yeah, okay. Same with us.
But that includes vacation time. PTO is vacation and sick time. It's everything. It's paid time off. So you want to take a trip to Vegas, you use your PTO, then you can't be sick. You have a cousin getting married and you're a groomsman for the cousin being married. You have to take 2 days off to go travel for that. That comes out of your PTO. You get sick.
So you don't have vacation.
Most places don't have separate vacation days. No.
Wow. Okay.
Some jobs do.
Some jobs do.
Government jobs do.
Yeah, some jobs do, but most jobs do not. Most jobs, it's a bucket in America. It's a bucket of things. But along the same lines, again, in America, it's and you could argue it's a cultural thing. For the most part, we don't take time off from work when we don't have to, right? And so all of the people in Jimmy Uso's family want him to get better, but along the same lines, Jimmy Uso is saying, "I just want to work, man." And Roman is like, "Well, I can't be the one who costs Jimmy Uso a paycheck by saying, no, man, you got to go into rehab, because if Jimmy Uso's not working, he's not getting paid."
Because he's a contractor, right? So for sure.
Yeah.
But these people have money, bro. Like, come on.
One thing I've learned about people in America who have money is they never have enough money. Not in their minds. You tell a person who's making six figures, take a week off, you'll just make slightly lower six figures, and they'll say, "No, why would I want to do that when I can make almost seven figures?" But ultimately, yes, he's got the money. He could take time off. And the thing is, he just got back from taking time off, right? I'm sure the conversation went like this.
Because he was in prison.
Dude,
jail.
Man, jail, not prison.
Jail.
There's a difference.
Jail. Okay, fine.
But I'm sure the conversation went this way. Jimmy, bro, man, you got to go into treatment and everything. Nah, man, I'm good. I just want to work. I just came back. I want to work. I need to earn some money. I need to support my wife. Naomi's got this taken care of, bro. You need to take care of yourself. Nah, bro, man, I got to work. You can't get in the way of this. So here's the deal. Everyone wants him to get better, but you cannot force someone to get better. And this is something that you learn
for sure. Yeah.
in therapy and in addiction stuff. The person has to make the decision to get better.
Right.
And if Jimmy Uso is saying, "Man, I just want to work," it doesn't matter if Naomi wants him to go into rehab. It doesn't matter if Jay wants him to go into rehab. It doesn't matter if Roman wants him to go into rehab. It doesn't even matter if Vince wants him to go into rehab, unless Vince says, "Go into rehab or you're fired."
Right.
So now again, I still don't like them using it as part of the storyline. And I don't like him using go into rehab.
Period. Yeah, exactly. I don't care if it's part of the storyline or not. Like, whatever. At this rate, I know WWE is stupid like that, and they use real life things into storylines because, hey, why not? We're not being creative. Let's use something legit. Whatever. I'm already done with WWE doing that. I get it. So I wasn't totally shocked on that. I didn't see a point in saying that because then they just hugged it out at the end of the segment. But sure. I thought, if anything, that was the perfect opportunity to beat him down.
Yes. And that's what they should have done. But again, obviously they've got plans. Now, I am going to point out that, because you mentioned at one point, you're like, maybe John Cena can't do it because he's got things coming up and they wanted him to do a thing with The Rock, but now maybe they don't. I've said this before. The Rock is, in my opinion, probably us thinking he's ever going to make an actual wrestling return is stupid. And I'm going to point out here. Right now, he's filming Black
So you're saying Meltzer is wrong?
I'm saying Meltzer is probably wrong, yes. I'm not afraid to say that out loud here. Meltzer is wrong on this. And this is why. Right now, he's filming Black Adam. His insurance is not going to let him take any time off from filming Black Adam. Because that's a multi. I mean, I think the budget for Black Adam is somewhere around 300 million. And if it gets pushed back, that's another 100 million because of an injury, right? So they're not going to do that. He's also got Red Notice that's either
that's coming out though.
It's coming out. But it still has reshoots.
So it's done.
It's done with primary shooting, but there's almost always reshoots, right? So there's that. Then after that, San Andreas 2 has already been announced, right?
Oh Jesus. Okay.
So that's on his thing. Doc Savage has been announced. So that's on his slate. A reboot of Big Trouble in Little China has already been announced.
Who's he playing in that one?
We don't know for certain on it. He's working with John Carpenter. It's going to be a continuation, so it's kind of a reboot / continuation. So we don't know exactly what's going on there, but he's got a movie called The King that's about if I'm correct, it's going to be about like one of the Samoan kings, King Kamehameha, I want to say. And that they've got all sorts of things. There's rumored to be Central Intelligence 2 on the slate coming up. He's got movies lined up for at least a couple years.
Yeah.
And every single one of those movies is going to have a period of time before it and a period of time after primary filming is done where he will not be able to wrestle in a match because insurance will say, I mean, it's the same thing. Henry Cavill couldn't shave his damn mustache after completing primary filming of Mission Impossible, right? You think they're going to let someone wrestle? And the same thing with John Cena. Now, that's not saying that he might not show up to film some sort of an angle. I'm just saying that thinking we're going to see The Rock or even John Cena in a actual match is probably wishful thinking at best. Because both of them have way too much money riding on staying healthy, staying in shape, so they can continue filming their movies. Because, like I said, I just looked up The Rock's upcoming movies, but...
Yeah, John Cena has the Jansen Directive and Argyle, and he's currently filming The Peacemaker.
Peacemaker's a TV show. So, Jansen Directive, if I'm correct, is based on Robert Ludlum, the Bourne Ultimatum book writer. So, that's potentially a series. So he's not going to want to risk that.
That's it. And he's Suicide Squad, which I don't think came out yet, right?
Suicide Squad's not out yet, but it's done filming. Peacemaker is a spinoff of that. So...
And then Vacation Friends. Yeah, so he just has about as many projects as The Rock right now. So,
Oh, and by the way, he was just introduced in Fast and Furious 9.
Right.
So he'll probably continue.
Be in Fast 10, which was already announced.
Yep.
I mean, unless he dies in Fast 9, which I don't know.
Project Extraction. It may be done being filmed, though. So, I think that's done. That's the one he was filming in China. So,
where you mentioned that Thailand wasn't a country?
It was before that. Remember last year, when he had the stupid ass haircut?
Right.
When he showed up with that? That's the movie that he was filming when he had that stupid ass haircut.
That's it.
Anyway.
But yeah, all this to say, at the end of the day, if that is your big plan for not wanting to, again, I guess I'm going off Meltzer's thing, and you're just telling me, well, because he doesn't want to leave and he doesn't want to stop, and so on and so forth. So you can't force anybody, but at the same time, Vince, out of all people, should know that, wrestlers have done badly. Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, when not given time. You have a whole system based off of these things so that they can go get help. So I don't know how many more enabling factors do you need here? He's twice, I think, this year, or no, once this year and twice last year or something. Come on,
give me
man.
1 second. Let me look up Vince McMahon's net worth to tell you how many things you need to do.
Well, and also it's bad PR. You have Roman, who's the biggest star on the show, head of the table, and then if you have his two henchmen there, if you ever Google Jimmy Uso, bam,
2.1 billion. Vince McMahon has 2.1 billion reasons that he wants to keep his storylines going the way he wants to. And that's a lot more. You know, he's got that many reasons to overlook health. Now, again. Yeah, I said before, you can't force someone into rehab, but there's one person who can, and that's Boss Man McMahon, right? Vince McMahon could look at Jimmy Uso and say, you're going into rehab, and Jimmy Uso would go into rehab. But Roman can't make him do it. Jay can't make him do it. Naomi can't make him do it. The only person other than him that can make him do it is Vince. And until Vince says, you're going into rehab, Jimmy will continue to be in storyline.
And truth be told, Vince can't make him do it.
No, he could just give him an ultimatum.
Well, their independent contract might include wellness policy that can say if we mandate rehab, you have to attend rehab.
Very valid. Yep.
You know, I know in the NFL they've got wellness policy that says, listen, if we mandate rehab, you have to do rehab. So, anyways. Yeah. No, it like I said, as soon as I saw the phrase, because I didn't get to watch SmackDown, because we've talked about Sling TV before. But as soon as I saw the...
And you're still on it, too. Like,
because it's $35 a month, right? Do you know how much the next closest service is?
64.
$60 a month, right? So I saved myself $25 a month by sticking with Sling. And you know what? SmackDown's not worth $25.
Yeah, that's valid. Okay, that's fair.
I get my AEW. I get Impact. I can watch Raw if I want to.
Yep.
I'll get Rampage because it's only about a month till we start seeing Rampage on Friday.
Oh, true.
So, but as soon as I saw that they mentioned it, now I'm also going to point out this isn't the first time that they've worked it into a storyline. We just got done talking about John Cena here. John Cena mentioned it in a promo against the Usos 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago.
Snap. Okay. It was like one of his raps or something?
Yes.
Probably was more than 2 years ago then.
It was when he was a part-timer.
Okay.
Let's see.
Oh no, I meant his like rap, like as in like he was rapping.
He did it as
not
a rap.
Jimmy's rap sheet. Okay.
It was, I think, July of 2019. So 2 years ago.
You think, or you just Googled?
I just Googled it, but I'm making sure I'm on the right one.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm like kind of not thinking about it if you're Googling there, bud.
yes, that's what it's July 22nd, 2019.
Snap. Okay. Yeah, I mean, fair. I don't know. Vince,
He rhymed arrested with bested, so it wasn't exactly his best rhyme. But,
do you have the actual full on line? No problem. Okay, I just thought it was there. No way.
Give me a second here.
Bested. Y'all look just like your mugshots. How was it getting arrested?
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
But the thing is, because this was after one of their, what I think it was another one of his DUIs.
Yeah, because he got one in July of that year, so it was just literally
Yeah, it was literally right after that. But here's the deal:
very
is
recent.
the Usos are in there smiling and slapping hands because they just got roasted on TV by John Cena. Ah, that's so awesome. So they worked it into a storyline once before. They're gonna continue to do it. It sucks that they do it. To be perfectly honest, if this
I'm
was
just saying.
if this was any other wrestling company, and this, yes, I'm gonna get called an AEW mark for saying this, but if this was AEW, he would have been sent to rehab, mandated, and still potentially fired. And I say that pointing out that we have not seen Jimmy Havoc on AEW since it came out that he would get drunk and get verbally and mentally abusive with a girlfriend of his.
Right.
And it was announced that Tony Khan was sending him to rehab. And we haven't seen hide nor hair of him since.
True.
And that was well over a year ago, year and a half, year ago.
About a year.
About a year. Over a year, though. And they've not seen hide nor hair. And I don't know if he's still technically with the company. Who fucking knows? But we haven't seen him, and I don't expect to see him anytime soon. If the same thing happened on Impact Wrestling, Jimmy Uso probably wouldn't have had a job come the morning after. If it happened on Ring of Honor, I bet you wouldn't have had a job the morning after. Especially it
And
not
like
being
him
his first
being
time.
there isn't really that important. Because I'm sorry, I don't believe this whole idea that WWE has a crazy plan. Because we've seen their storylines recently, and there's not that many that have really
I think it's
went to
more
plan.
they don't have a plan and they see him as a draw. I think that's really what it comes down to. They're like,
That's fine.
We
That's
can't
fair.
afford to lose another name. Because here's the thing. Jey Uso has struggled by himself. And I think Jey Uso's a hell of a wrestler. I think he might be the more talented of the Uso brothers. But by himself, and I think some of it's size, frankly, in WWE, Jey Uso's
Size
undersized.
matters.
Especially now standing next to Roman. Like, I didn't realize how small the Usos were until jacked Roman stood right next to him.
Right.
And so I think if Jey Uso went off and got absolutely swole, he could be a force to be reckoned with in WWE. But without that, he needs his brother to maintain relevancy in WWE. So, but anyways, that's enough with that crime. We will move on to the misdemeanors of the week. Who's got something?
I'm gonna nail you, Smarks.
Okay.
Okay.
Come at me.
Your misdemeanor is you going off on wow, my brain is not working right now. JR and a little bit on Excalibur, and you were gonna roll through without it. But
I was
you
not
did
going to
catch
roll through
yourself.
without an Excalibur, but
You did
But
catch
here's the deal:
yourself.
there's two things. It's different delivering a bad take during a thing.
I understand, and
that it is
promoting your competition.
Promoting the competition. It is bad. But I will also say this. In my defense, because here's the deal: I can defend myself on this one. Unlike the wrestlers who aren't here to defend themselves, I can't. It was a misdemeanor last week when I went off on JR. And the only
I'm
reason,
giving you a misdemeanor now.
and the only reason, but Excalibur was a full crime. He was part of my full crime.
Okay.
So, but here's the deal: I didn't go off on JR. All I said was, "God, JR, man, come on! you're a veteran of 20 plus years in this and you work for AEW. You can't be doing this shit.
That's it.
And
I was
then-
technically the one defending JR.
And then JLB made it a fucking third degree act and turned it into something. It was supposed to be
Sounds like
10
something I'd
seconds. It was supposed to be 10 seconds of a misdemeanor where I just said, God damn it, JR, you're the reason we can't have nice things. And roll on with it. And JLB turned it into a big thing.
That's what I do.
But in the end, I'm still going to say this.
No
right?
regard.
Excalibur did a bad part of a promo that just made that segment not great. Not as great as it could have been. In fact, I'm going to put it that way. Not as great as it could have been. That segment would have been better if Excalibur had just said, "Who is this?" instead of what he said.
Yeah.
But he didn't ruin that segment, and he didn't say the name of their main competitor as the last thing you fucking heard on the episode.
Sorry, I just wanted to have a little fun with that. Thank you.
Right. So in the end, that's what it comes down to. I am going to plead not guilty in this because the state of the crimes were not equal. In fact, they were weighted against Excalibur, number one. And number two, Excalibur has only been announcing for 2 years. And JR has 20 years of being the lead announcer for a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Excalibur has an excuse.
And
talent relations, and yeah. Excalibur has an excuse for doing something that's not great because he's inexperienced.
He's an
JR
amateur.
Doesn't. Yeah.
What
That
is this,
being said-
amateur hour?
Yeah. That being said, I've said before, I would prefer AEW to go to a two-man booth. Tony Schiavone and maybe Excalibur. I didn't hate Golden Boy. I wonder what the fuck happened to Golden Boy.
Who the hell's Golden Boy?
He was their third announcer in their early shows, pre-Dynamite. I don't think he actually made it to Dynamite. So all out and all that. And I don't know what happened with him. He had a background in video games, if I'm remembering correctly. I didn't hate him, but
Was that the guy with the beard and the glasses? No, he maybe didn't
Yes.
have glasses. Oh, okay. Yeah, he became like an announcer, like a backstage person for a while, and then I never
no,
seen
I
him.
think you're thinking of Alex Marvez, who's still around and still does backstage interviews.
Oh, okay.
No, Golden Boy was younger, and I don't know. He just kind of disappeared, and I don't think he's with the company anymore. But it never, as far as I heard, never came out what happened, whether it was them just saying it's not working out with you, or what. I don't know.
Okay, so apparently he was too busy for weekly shows, but is still available for pay-per-views on occasion. But their current full-time team of Taz, JR, Schiavone, and Excalibur are enough to handle those. So they haven't had to call Golden Boy back in. Just that simple.
There you have it.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I didn't hate him. I would prefer, frankly, if I was AEW, I'd put all of the eggs in a basket of Tony Schiavone, of maybe Excalibur, but I would be fine even without Excalibur. I don't.
Ow.
I'm not in absolute love with Excalibur.
I love me some
Morrow.
Taz.
Morrow. I would love to get Morrow in AEW.
Morrow's not coming back. Or
He
coming
came
to
back.
AEW.
He came to AEW for one match.
What match was that?
Oh, was it the
right. No, it was the Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, I would love to see that happen. That would have been my dream. I don't hate Excalibur. He's just not my favorite.
Kinda
You have
sounds
some
like
pretty
a hit.
boring dreams, man.
Oh, if I told you about the real dreams I have, you'd say
Jesus.
they're even more boring. I fucking hate dreams.
Exciting.
I hate dreams. I have the same mentality of dreams that Mitch Hedberg has. Fucking hate dreams. Says dreams are supposed to, when you're sleeping, you're supposed to be resting, but when you're dreaming, you're not resting. Like you get done with a long day of work and you go home, you go to sleep, and suddenly build a go-kart with your ex-landlord. That ain't rest, man. Hate dreams. I wish I didn't have any dreams. Anyway, I just Excalibur has a problem in my book of getting too into like the mood. Like I get it, he's the play-by-play caller, and so that's his thing. But you watch, he talks over JR because JR wants to get in and do some color or do some whatever commentating, and suddenly Excalibur's in there throwing, oh, look at that sweet ass fucking Kotaro Clutcher.
Yeah, no, Excalibur does seem like a dick in real life, though. Like, I feel like he does have an ego problem. Coming from a guy who doesn't even know the guy sounds very harsh, but he seems like he has a little bit of a narcissistic personality just because he does that all the time. And it's like, bro, like, I get JR might not know certain things or know what he's doing at points, but you're still representing the company. You can't just talk over the guy all the time. You're making him look like an idiot. You're making you look like an asshole, and you're making AEW look unprofessional. Yeah. So, there is that.
And here's I get it. Color commentating and play-by-play is really tough. Are you uncomfortable being the face on the screen while we're talking?
No, I'm telling all the fans that I did this.
Yeah.
I caused this.
Because
you did.
I used to work in radio. I knew the people who did color and
you have a
play-by-play
face for it too.
Yeah. That's why I started this podcast, and then decided, fuck it, I'm going to show everyone my face. But no, the people who did the color and the play-by-play for the
beauties and the beast.
No, fuck. Talk about people with egos and people who are wrong. We're all beasts here, every single one of us. But here's the deal. Color and play-by-play are tough because you have to learn to not talk over each other.
I think my screen shattered.
Here, you want to make that better? Here, we'll just do this. Boom.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a good thing we're not monetized, because that would have got us demonetized for obscene.
What? Oh, okay. LL Cool J can lick his lips, but I can't.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's actually that is 100% the rule.
If it was D.A. Vincent Cool Fade, then maybe.
Because the thing is, your initials stand for District Attorney. His initials stood for Ladies Love. Right. So he can.
Oh, it was? Never knew that.
Yeah. So he can lick his lips because the ladies love Cool James. But District Attorney Vincent Kayfabe does not have that. No, it's like I said, with Excalibur, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with him on the mic. I love the knowledge that he has. He just needs to learn to keep his mouth shut most of the time. That's why Mike Tenay was so great in WCW, in my opinion, is he would come in with the statistics and all the wrestling knowledge and the move names and all of that stuff whenever he needed to, but he never once talked over Shivani or Bobby the Brain. He let them be the voices most of the time. And Excalibur needs to learn that or get the fuck out of the road. But,
yeah.
I think
Mike Tenay heard their voices in his head.
Yes.
Oh, I do too. I think he intentionally fucks over JR.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he likes JR at all. Like,
and so,
he just...
I don't hate Taz, so I wouldn't mind him, except, and I mentioned this before, I dislike the leader of a faction being a full-time announcer as well. If he's going to be leading...
Yeah, they'd have to pull him.
If he's going to be leading FTW, and they already have him as the full-time announcer for one of the Darks, and I don't like that. I want, if he's going to be the announcer for Dark, then have him no longer be leading.
I mean, if you want to give me a Brooklyn guy and talking on the mic and that, I'd rather Eddie. To be honest with you, I really wasn't a fan of Taz back in the WWE days when he was announcing. I'm just not a fan of Taz always on the commentating. One match, cool, but for the whole freaking show, no, I'm good. I'm good. I love Taz doing promos and whatever. That's fine. That's perfect. I love it.
God, I loved him on SmackDown. I disagree with you.
I mean, that's fine.
If you wanted the person I'd love to see come back to commentary, who is everybody else wants to see him come back and wrestle. Yeah, sorry guys, it's been several years. It's not going to happen. I would love to see CM Punk on the AEW booth. He was great on commentary.
Was he? Okay, I don't remember.
I wouldn't hate that, but
I feel like he's too soft-spoken. No? No. Okay.
Did you watch CM Punk?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Are you familiar with CM Punk? You know, the guy who sat down on the stage
I get it.
fucking talked into a microphone and blew up the entire world.
Guys, I am not talking about him as a wrestler. I am talking about when he's commentating on the mic. Like as a commentator, I feel like he would be too soft-spoken is what I'm saying.
He had the same personality on the mic.
All right,
he was the same character on the mic. He just was on the mic.
But he's not playing that character. Oh, I guess he would still kind of bring that anyways. Okay, fair enough. Fine. I fall back. You guys win. Let's go.
Yeah, his dirty look to Trips was... Yeah. That was the real CM Punk. That wasn't just the character.
No, that's fair.
When Trips got the best wrestler in the world award from Steph.
But yeah,
I can totally see him coming in as a commentator. I also believe that Excalibur and Morrow would be fantastic. But Morrow would have to be the play-by-play. And then I think Excalibur would be a good color.
You know who I think AEW should move to as a color commentator? I don't think they're going to do this anytime soon, but I think the times that he has done it,
Jericho. For sure.
He's
awesome.
Jericho's great.
I think the problem is I think he still wants to have an active career in wrestling as a guy setting up the new guys, right? But even more than that, I think.
But he doesn't mind doing double duty even. So like, just 2 weeks ago, he did the whole show.
Yeah.
No?
He doesn't mind it, but the problem is, again, he comes the same problem that I have with Taz is he's the leader of a faction right now. And
but Jericho, I don't mind. Taz, I might have an issue. Jericho,
I still mind it full time. If they were going to make him full time, I would like him to step down from the Inner Circle. So,
you want to see that anyway. You want it to be Sammy's group.
Yeah. No, Sammy wouldn't be the leader of the group. Sammy needs to go off on his own now. This is time for Sammy to shine. Now, here's who I would love.
Sure
to
as
see.
hell won't be Jake Hager.
No. Well, no. Here's the. I think the Inner Circle, and this is. I'm wearing an Inner Circle shirt right now. I think the Inner Circle's time is almost up. I think.
Oh, it's just past Inner Circle o'clock. Yep, you're right.
Yes. Yep. I think it's time to roll on, and maybe the Pinnacle is going to be the one that kind of ends the Inner Circle and lets them go off. With Conan joining Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz recently, that opens up the option for a version of LAX in AEW for them to go off. Jake Hager can do whatever the fuck he wants to. I don't give a shit.
He can be somebody else's enforcer.
Yeah.
He can be the bodyguard for... what was it called? Raw Backstage. What was it called? AEW Underground, since they want to do more shows.
Yes, he can be the Babatunde of that. Here's someone that I would love to see on the AEW commentary team. It's not going to happen anytime soon for reasons outside of wrestling. But Renee Paquette.
Yeah, they had a baby.
Yeah, they had a baby. She's going to be off being a mom, and that's fine. And she's got her podcast, and she hasn't shown a desire to come back fully into the world of on-screen wrestling character sort of a thing. But I did like her in her commentary run on Raw. I thought she did remarkably well for what they gave her. So
if you want a currently retired guy, Bully wouldn't be a bad move either.
Yeah, he's got some heat with some of the people in AEW right now, and he's got some heat with a bunch of the fans with AEW right now. He has.
That's because he talks shit on his podcast, which is a good color commentator. We'll talk some shit.
I wouldn't hate it if AEW pilfered Coachman, but I don't. He's not high on my list, but I wouldn't hate it. It would be interesting to see AEW bring in Joey Styles just for like a short term. Just throw it back for anyways. But we'll move on to the next misdemeanor. Any misdemeanor from you, JLB?
I mean, okay, it's a little like it's why it's on the misdemeanor section. WWE SmackDown and I guess Sonya Deville for ruining the name of the person that is going to face. Okay, well, few things. One, saying obviously, so Bayley's out, right? Bayley's injured. She's gone for 9 months, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah. Reportedly torn ACL.
Yes, while training at the Performance Center, apparently. So that happened, and then of course Sonya comes out, announces it. Bayley does her whole last little goodbye thing. Cool story. And then she's like, hey, so now I don't think Bianca should face anyone or whatever. She said Bianca wasn't going to face anyone at Money in the Bank. In fact, it was going to be on SmackDown. And she announced the opponent. So we see that it's going to be Carmella. So I have a few problems with this. One, why would you take it off Money in the Bank? Two, why would you make it Carmella? Three, why would you announce who it was and not make it a surprise for the next show? If you're going to put it on SmackDown anyways, I mean, the whole announcement would have made sense maybe on Money in the Bank because you want people to watch, so you're promoting that match. Cool story. And four, why wouldn't you make it Sasha Banks and have her come next week live in front of a crowd? Fans would flip for that. Absolutely flip for that.
So I suspect it's a couple things. Number one, my phone ringtone is the main reason they announced it as Mello. Carmella is money. So
not anymore, she ain't.
Number two, I suspect that they're playing chess while you're playing chess. There will be a SmackDown Women's Championship match at Money in the Bank.
It'll be the Money in the Bank cash-in.
Maybe the Money in the Bank cash-in. Maybe it'll be just a regular match. They're going to set it up next week. They're going to set it up.
But Carmella is literally facing.
They're going to set it up during that match.
But she said there was no match at Money in the Bank. So you're just saying that's all going to change.
That's storyline. You are being worked, bro.
Oh, please.
That's okay. You work yourself into a shoot, bro.
I honestly think they might just put it on SmackDown like they did Roman and Ray, and that's it.
They're gonna put it on SmackDown. They're gonna have a match, Carmelo versus Bianca Belair, and someone's going to return during the match, or the match is gonna end in shenanigans. It can end either way, and then Sonya Deville's gonna come out and say, "We can't have this happen this way. There's going to be a match at Money in the Bank. Bianca Belair is going to face off." Now, so it could be Carmella loses, Bianca Belair celebrating in the ring, then you hear the boss music, boss time,
Okay, I did that so wrong.
And that's when Sasha Banks comes
God,
back
I love
in.
your sound effects.
Yeah, we're going to make a soundboard of those someday.
Good Lord.
All right,
But-
guys, let me hit the Sasha Banks sound.
Quick,
Oh,
do
no,
Alexa
sorry.
Bliss.
My bad.
I want to hear Alexa Bliss.
I don't even remember what hers is anymore.
Oh, come on, you got dun dun dun.
Oh, right. True. That is a great classic one.
That's her old one. She's got a new one now that I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's it.
But no, that's what's going to happen. Is the match is going to take place at SmackDown. Something is going to happen, leading to them announcing the match for Money in the Bank, because it is literally the go-home edition of SmackDown. It is literally the show that sets up the thing. So of course they're going to say, because now it's about building up to that. So now it could end up being Carmella versus Bianca in a special stipulation match at Money in the Bank because of some shenanigans that happen. It could be someone returns like Sasha Banks during the match or after the match to celebrate. She does her stupid little hip pose. There's a reason that Sasha Banks has not been there. I suspect that she's been filming in Hollywood. However, it's important to note that she did just make an appearance at the ESPYs to accept their award with Bianca Belair.
Nice.
So I suspect that if I were a betting man and had to bet on this, I'd put money on Sasha Banks showing up either during or after the match with Carmella, and that setting up a match for Money in the Bank.
Now I know why you don't bet. Because you would lose all your coins. I think they literally did it that way because they're not going to have enough time on the pay-per-view. I think there's already like 5 matches. And we know that they've been cutting their pay-per-view short. If you're going to have 2 Money in the Banks, that's already 45 minutes each. No way. I think they kind of just realized, and they're sticking with that structure of having a big match on the actual SmackDown or on the TV show. I think they're kind of sticking with that
So
format.
I'm just gonna put this here now, so everyone listening to this can know that when we go to record our review of Money in the Bank next week, right? If there was some shenanigans in the SmackDown match and led to a Money in the Bank match of some sorts with Bianca Belair versus someone, we are going to ridicule the absolute fuck out of JLB for the entire night. I am going to make an overlay for this that says the entire night, just up there right next to live, JLB was wrong.
Oh, Jesus. I mean,
I'm not going to
fine,
make one
but-
for myself, though.
Well, that's
You know,
not-
if
just
you
for
did
Tammy.
that, if you did that though, JLB just wouldn't show up and you couldn't see him.
Yeah. He'll just fall asleep and send us a text message later. Oh, dude, guys, I fell asleep right after Money in the Bank and I forgot all
No, I'll
about
be
it."
here. I'll be here because I want to be the one that gloat and said I told you so and piss you the hell. I don't need no banner to prove that I'm
This-
right.
This
Me
is Wrestling
and the
Booking
whole
101.
okay.
If you have
Okay.
to make a change at the last minute, you try to make at least one match to set it up, right?
Okay.
Swerve.
Yeah, you're being worked, bro.
All
You're
right.
being
We'll
worked.
see who's being worked.
Let's
So,
let's-
how
let's
am I
check
gonna
with
do
the
this
professional
wrestling
wrestler? Demon, what do you think? Yep, nope. Demon says he's being worked.
No, he didn't say anything.
I saw it in his eyes.
Well, look, I mean, the good news is, I was thinking more for the wrestling pool. I'm like, man, what am I going to do for the wrestling pool? But I'll know after SmackDown. So it's usually when I do the guesses for you guys. So, but on Sunday, I'll definitely be saying I told you so, because on that wrestling pool, 99.9% there won't be Bianca Belair versus whoever the fuck.
Bianca Belair's
won't
too much
be a
money
match.
for them to keep her off the pay-per-view. She just won an ESPY. They're going to want to say that 1,000 times on the pay-per-view.
This is a valid point. She'll be on the pay-per-view, just not in a match.
Yeah, I bet she will.
All right, we'll see.
And DA Fabe has a very good point. It's Money in the Bank, and WWE recently has loved to have women's cash-ins night of, right? So you have a SmackDown woman win the Money in the Bank and cash in on Bianca Belair later in the night. So it could be Sasha Banks shows up, and they say, "No, you're to the back of the line. You have to win the Money in the Bank to get a match." And she goes off and wins Money in the Bank. Maybe she heals it up and takes out Liv Morgan to win her to earn herself a spot.
I'm very excited.
I'm so proud
because they love fucking over Liv Morgan right now.
I'm so proud. I'm so happy Liv Morgan got that champion.
I was happy too.
I was like, yes,
happy too. But my point is, they fucked over Liv Morgan way too many times.
Don't do it.
I can't. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, shame on me again.
Why you gotta jinx it for, bro? God damn it, Liv. Better not agree to this, even if you don't.
She's gonna agree to whatever they do. You know why? She's the breadwinner for that family.
Oh,
she's the sugar mama.
What did freaking? I forget his name. Well, what did Bo Dallas ever do to you? Jesus Christ!
Nothing. Exactly what he's doing right now at home. Nothing. Right?
This is not true. He has like a real estate company or something. No, like poor guy.
He is getting his real estate license, but he does not have a company yet, and he's feeding the goats.
You, sir, are what the Spanish call El Replay.
And you have to say it in Cleveland's voice.
You, sir, are what the Spanish call El Replay.
Thank you,
but
welcome. Next.
But I don't have any misdemeanors this week because I was going to focus on positives and go with some commendations. And the big commendation is to AEW as a whole.
Fuck Vincent Kayfabe then. Did he do his?
He started off the misdemeanors.
Oh, okay.
I was his misdemeanor.
Yeah, I lit him up.
That was a misdemeanor. So this is why I'm going first with commendations. Because I'm going to commend AEW for having a absolutely killer first show back with full crowd.
That Sammy match.
It was fire.
Yes.
Yep.
It was a great show all around. I loved almost everything. I loved that we finally had, I hope Fabe also enjoyed it, the strap match, that it was a 4-corner strap match for the first time in forever.
Yes, we've bitched about this for ages. Last time a major promotion had it was Eddie versus JBL.
Yeah, Eddie versus JLB. I don't remember that fire match.
I fucked him up, bro. I fucked him up.
Now, I would have preferred
Eddie won the match.
I would have preferred it to be Cody versus someone other than QT Marshall.
Yeah,
but whatever. So
good match though.
It was still a good match, so I enjoyed that. They furthered the feud with Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears, which was tons of fun. You got to see Shawn Spears take a chair to the face from off screen, which was awesome. Furthered the storyline with Hangman. They finally had Hangman face off with Kenny Omega, setting up their match for All Out. I assume it's going to be an All Out. They haven't officially announced it, but that's where I'd put it.
Well, because they still have another one before that, no? Fighter Fest or something? Not Fighter Fest.
Well, Fighter Fest nights 1 and 2 are on Dynamite. They're Dynamite.
No, but there's something on the 28th, no? July 28th? Let me check. I felt like I saw pay-per-view. No? Because it was only a one-night thing, though. I'll double check.
Well,
anyway, so AEW was fire this week. Yes.
They even had the face-off with Hangman and Omega almost a year after Hangman and Omega faced off in the ring and teased Hangman turning on Omega before Omega turned on Hangman, which was kind of cool. They had the sit-down interview with Darby Allin and Ethan Page, which went back.
Fight for the Fallen.
Yeah, but Fight for the Fallen is Dynamite.
Oh, okay. My bad. So they're gonna have
Oh.
a Fighter Fest.
Yep.
So wait, they're gonna have a Fighter Fest night 1, 2, and then
And
a
then
Fight,
Fight
for
for
the
the
Fallen.
Fallen, all is Dynamite. They're just special
Ah.
edition of Dynamites. Like this week's
enough.
Dynamite was called Road Rager. They're naming
Right.
some of the episodes to make them feel special. But the
Fair.
6-man tag match was probably one of my low spots of it, which is weird because all the people in it are fire. But whatever.
That was still a pretty badass match though. Why
Yeah.
didn't you like it?
I'm not usually huge on 6-man tags. Number one, I think it gets too cluttered. And then
You get too cluttered.
And then having the whole Tully and Conan interjecting themselves into it match was like, they set up John Moxley defending the IWGP US Championship against Carl Anderson next week, or this coming week, I should say, which should be fire. They had...
And we'll have interference.
Yep, most likely. Yeah. MJF and Chris Jericho faced off in the ring. And Andrade El Idolo had his first match versus Matt Sydal, which I thought was a great match because it made Andrade look awesome, but it did not hurt Matt Sydal at all. Matt Sydal still looked great in it. So
Do we still know
liked
their surprise yet?
No, they didn't even mention that. That was one thing that they didn't do this week. Is they didn't even mention the surprise. Well, I guess they might have mentioned it offhand in the Andrade's all angry at Matt Sydal because he ruined his surprise. But then they had, of course, Malachi Black show up. They had Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy versus the Bunny and the Blade, which was actually a lot better than it had any rights to be. And then the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero at Miedo was an awesome match. It was a great episode of Dynamite all around. So that was my commendation, was for them. Just everyone on, and the crowd. I'm commending the crowd because they were there, they were in it, they reacted the way.
There's one that even went into the ring.
Yeah, the one tried to
Crazy.
go into the ring. Fucking Cornette fan. Of course, Cornette.
No, it's not a
denounced him. Yeah, Cornette. Well, he was a Cornette fan. Cornette's denounced him now, but he 100% said he was doing it to prove Jim Cornette right. Might not be a fan anymore since Cornette lit him up, but that's fine.
I don't know why you think Cornette would like that though. Like Cornette, I know is going to talk shit about AEW for sure, and there's stuff he doesn't like, but he'll never condone a wrestler going into the ring. I feel like I don't think that's just because he's an asshat, but because he's so respectful for kayfabe and the company and whatever, I don't think he would actually condone such a thing, anyways. So I don't.
Cornette said he would hit him with his racket.
Yeah. Cornette probably wouldn't condone it at the end, but the way it's a lot of it's about rhetoric. When you talk smack about something so much, people can easily take it as condoning acting against it. If you don't
So the Capitol
explicitly
riots.
if you don't explicitly say, hey, I may have disagreements with the way this promotion is being run, but it's still a wrestling promotion and it deserves the right to do it, the fans can go off. So I'm not necessarily saying that Jim Cornette called for this sort of a thing. I think him specifically, his statement saying the ring is sacred, what goes on in that ring is sacred, and I would have shoved my racket up your ass, is a fairly firm denouncement of this sort of act. And so hopefully that'll curb it in the future. But that was my commendation, is AEW for being just fire this week for Road Rage.
And if you ever get into a fight with Chris Jericho, apparently he punches like a bitch. So, hey guys,
You know, I could see where the guy would say it because Chris Jericho didn't actually even hit him because the security was pulling the guy away. Chris Jericho just took a swing at him and
that's it. He kind of hit his hair or something. Yeah, that's it.
Because security was doing their fucking job and keeping him out of the ring.
That's it.
Carry him out like a little bitch. So
Yeah.
yeah. But like I said, the crowd was amazing. They were in it. They chanted. They sang along. You know, during the pandemic, there were a lot of people who made fun of AEW for having the wrestlers ringside sing along with Judas when Chris Jericho came in because they were like, "That's forcing it." But I'm telling you what, the actual crowd there was singing along with Judas.
Well, I mean, they were before, anyways.
Yeah, they were before,
We've
and
heard
they
that,
continued
yeah.
to. So that was just AEW helping that tradition continue. That's all
Yeah.
it was. But the crowd was in it. The crowd was in it for every step of the way. When Malachi Black showed up, the crowd was gobsmacked and
For sure.
Reacted exactly the way you want. I mean, that was, if you're gonna do a surprise show up, that was done about as perfect as you can do. Right.
You know, I had to hit
At-
Arn though. Jeez.
Come on. Beat up on an old person immediately makes you a bad guy, right?
Straight up.
So anyways, those are my commendations. Who's up next? Any commendations from the Peanut Gallery?
No, I am a mean person.
Okay, just mean person from DFA. Well, you know, district attorneys aren't exactly known for being super nice, so
That's right.
That's valid.
guess mean.
Feel the
Yeah,
bag.
I mean, I agree with your sentiment of AEW as an accommodation, but I honestly don't know what else to accommodate here. I guess just for the sake of accommodation, I give kudos to Kevin Owens mentioning on commentating on SmackDown there that he hasn't been champion since 2017. And that, you know, he's getting bored or something along those lines. And kind of making me believe that, hey, maybe KO might win the Money in the Bank and become that champion once again. Because he was alluding to you that he might just face Roman. And here's to hoping that KO beats Roman, because I'm all in for the Montreal guy to fuck the head of the table up. Yeah. So yeah, KO gets my accommodation.
I don't know how I feel about the sequencing of fuck the head of the table up.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. I said it.
Yeah.
I can't take it back. It's done.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
Yep, you did indeed say it.
Mhm.
I guess in relationship commendations, because I don't want to just pile it all onto AEW. NXT was fucking awesome this week too.
Yeah, it was.
So it's worth at least talking about that. There were some great things. I'm not exactly happy with Candice LeRae and Indy losing the tag belt. I love Io Shirai, but Zoe Stark does absolutely nothing to me. She's just like meh. She comes in.
Was that
but
the unsanctioned match this week? Or that was last week?
This one was the tag team championship match. They also had I'm trying to remember what all.
Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam
Kyle
Cole.
O'Reilly versus Adam Cole.
Yeah, it was
Round
like
two,
another
a real
unsanctioned
wrestling
match.
match.
No?
Nope, wrestling
Oh,
match.
real
Real
wrestling.
match.
Okay.
They had the $1 Million Championship rematch, LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes.
Oh,
where
damn. How
LA
was that?
Knight won again, and now Cameron Grimes has to be LA Knight's butler.
And that's why on Tuesday I said I didn't hate it.
And then NXT Championship match, MSK defeated Ciampa and Thatcher, which, I mean, it makes sense for that to happen. But it was a fire match. They also, like I said, I'm not happy about Indy and Candice LeRae. I was so happy that Candice LeRae finally got some gold in WWE and was finally
Right.
getting some of this that she deserved. And then they had to fucking take it off her. But they did it in a way to forward the Indy Hartwell Dexter Loomis storyline.
That shit went to sleep for a little while and came back.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I was happy that happened, but just in general, NXT was great this week. So NXT and AEW both get commendations. Raw, not so much.
Yep, it's a valid point.
SmackDown, not so much. It's going to be interesting this Monday night coming up
with crowds.
because, well,
what do you mean?
I heard that this Raw was taped. I heard that they taped it.
With crowds?
No, they taped
definitely
it
not with crowds.
Same time they either before or after SmackDown.
Why would they do that? Maybe they couldn't sell tickets or something.
Well,
or they didn't.
I think they didn't plan on having a live Raw this week, and I that's what I heard, and so maybe I heard wrong, but I saw somewhere that they were taping Raw for this coming week, and so maybe it's that they didn't have anything set up properly for it, but they had to tear down because they did. They've torn down the Thunderdome now. It's gonzo, and so. So that's going to be interesting there, whether Raw is pre-taped or not. I don't know.
So, nope, never mind. I thought David Meltzer said something smart, but he didn't. So, never mind. No bueno. Not sure.
David Meltzer said something smart?
He does that a lot. You need to stop.
Has been mixed reactions to training sessions that reportedly were...
The July 12th episode of WWE Raw taped yesterday. So maybe it wasn't Thursday. Maybe they taped it after... Because it was published on July 7th, which would have been... Was that Tuesday? No, Wednesday. So yeah, the July 16th episode will be the first one with fans in attendance. So,
oh snap! Okay,
there you have it.
So no
what are we
spoilers
today?
for the taping, according to this, but they did have Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo, Ricochet versus John Morrison in a Falls Count Anywhere match, AJ Styles versus Ivar, Omos versus Eric.
Oh, so waste more of my time and just not make it a tag match? Is that what we're doing here?
Well, of course, they do the independent matches so the tag match can happen at a pay-per-view. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Slow build, buddy.
Bianca still isn't going to be there at Money in the Bank in a match. Can't wait till you're wrong.
Okay, well,
anyway,
we have time to find that out later.
Yes, we will find that out later. I guess that gives us to the end of commendations, correct?
Correct.
Case closed. Okay. So on that note, we will start to wrap things up for Raw and Order the Wrestling Booking Unit. There's going to be links in the doobly-doos below this, the show notes, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform or if you're watching it on Facebook or Twitter or not Twitter, I don't put it on Twitter, Facebook or YouTube. It's going to be in the doobly-doos down there with links to our Patreon, our merch store. Merch link is in bio. Go buy some shit and support us that way. It's fucking awesome.
Oh wait, this isn't one of ours.
No. Yeah, this isn't one of ours either.
Mm.
But then there's some guy wearing a hashtag no regrets shirt or something.
No regard. One job.
No regrets. It's kind of my motto. No regrets. Really? Not even a single letter?
Yeah. We're the Millers. Good job, buddy.
But check out the links in the doobly-doos. Support us that way. If you can support us on Patreon, that's awesome. That is the best way to support us. But if you don't want to do a reoccurring thing, the merch link in bio helps us out a ton. Or, I've said this before, absolutely free way to support us is just sharing this.
Like, share, subscribe.
Share button. Like, share, subscribe. and that gets more people viewing this. That's the absolute best way. So check out the Doobly Doos for that. Like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media. Of course, I am on pretty much all of them as at Raw and Order WBU, so you can follow me there. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K Fabe. There we go, right there. And just waiting for that sponsorship from Turks and Caicos. Anybody who knows somebody on the tourism board there, looking for that vacation.
Hit us up. Turks and Caicos, come on, we would love to.
3 tickets.
And you can follow JLB
at JLB420. Real Talk Radio, though, of course, is the brand at Real Talk Radio 8, anchor.fm/RTR. I have hashtag no regard there because that is the shirt I am wearing. And basically, it's just a thing my friend is doing for flag football. And he's actually going to be in the cinema showing it live to people. So I thought I'd go in support, hashtag no regard. And that's how sometimes you should just live your life with no regard and no regret. And that is all. Why am I blotchy for you guys?
Nope. You go in and out sometimes.
No,
it's fine.
Okay. All right,
you wave your hand back and forth.
Yeah, with my hand back and forth.
I'm sure you're gonna talk on your Real Talk Radio about Big Brother and whatever that shit is. So.
Yeah, just started. Oh, I didn't watch Sunday's episode. I'm doing that right after this. Thanks for reminding me. Good.
Failed. You failed.
One job.
What do you mean one job?
How dare you?
And then
you can
one follow job on that thing too. The Demon King Finn Balor at Finn Balor. Because we're still having.
I enjoyed you on Raw and Order, Finn Balor.
Yeah. Say, what up, Finn? My boy. But on that note, we are.
He also has no regard, by the way.
Yeah.
No regrets.
No regrets. But on that note, we are going to go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. Man, I'm already on Tuesday.
One job.
It's been a long fucking week. Close the book on the wrestling
power or no power. One job.
Unit.
Ciao.
Thank you, folks, for listening. We will see you soon.
Yeah, we will. That'll be fun.